Tom Bateman is a political scientist at St. Thomas University in Fredericton. He's been keeping a close eye on the campaign for us. Tom, good to see you again. How successful did you think last night's debate was in terms of informing voters?
It was not too bad. I think the format helped quite a bit. Here we had significant parts of the debate concerning one leader on one leader. So they had time to flesh out some of their arguments and some of their policies. And I think that's an improvement on previous debates, which often descended into a real confusing cacophony.
You know, just before, the day before this debate, of course, we had the Auditor General's report leaked that suggested the government had misspent taxpayers' money on the G8 conference. That looked like a loaded cannon going into this debate. It came off as a damp squib. How come?
Yeah, it was raised very, very early, not even in the context of the question put to the leaders. And I think Mr. Harper was able to deflect that one for good early on because of the complexity of the particular issue. It was only a draft report of the Auditor General. It cannot be released in its final form until Parliament meets. And it was improperly leaked to begin with, and there's an investigation about that. So lots of things are there which I think complicated it. Furthermore, the Prime Minister said, yeah, we'd like to see it if we could and respond to it properly, but we can't. So we're not going to.
You know, it has to be said, many pundits who watched last night's debate and are publishing their remarks today are saying Harper looked like he was coated in Teflon last night.
His tone reminded me of the tone he had in December of 2008 when he spoke to Canadians directly during the prorogation crisis. And there he was very, very controlled, really wanted to communicate that he's not angry, that he's got the good of the country at heart. Last night, same kind of tone, didn't want to rise at all to the barbs and provocations of the other leaders. Very, very much on message, and I think attempted with some success to rise above the gaggle of the other leaders.
He appeared, you could say, somewhat magisterial as he held himself aloof from the other debaters. Michael Ignatieff, if he didn't need to land a knockout punch, he certainly needed to shine last night. Do you think he achieved that?
He did pretty well. He got some good shots in there. One exchange in particular I thought was very good. When we were on the topic of contempt of Parliament and the control freak sort of nature of Stephen Harper, I thought he did very well. But a little bit later on, that balloon was burst very decidedly by Jack Layton, who noted for our attention that Ignatieff was only in the House for 30% of votes in the last session. That really did something, I think, to the credibility of Michael Ignatieff on the dignity of Parliament question.
Absolutely. Probably one of the most awkward moments of the debate because Michael Ignatieff had nothing to come back with. Jack Layton really appeared to stick to a specific strategy of fighting on two fronts and doing so pretty well because he had some barbs for both Stephen Harper and for Michael Ignatieff.
I think Mr. Layton had the hardest job to perform last night. First of all, he could not be too hard on the Prime Minister because the more he would vilify the Prime Minister, the more he would drive NDP votes to the Liberals, and that would marginalize the NDP. On the other hand, he had to be pretty hard on Ignatieff, and I think he executed both prongs of that strategy fairly well.
You know, we've heard so much about how important health care is to voters right across this country, yet it barely got any time last night. Why is that?
Health care is the third rail in Canadian politics. It's the one that you touch at your peril. And the opposition parties have announced that they will commit themselves to 6% increases year on year in transfers to the provinces for health care funding. And the question is, what would the Tories do? I think philosophically the Tories would like to think about different options than that to actually control costs, but they neutralize the issue by promising to do the same thing. So that one is effectively off the table. And the other point here is that however various are our concerns about health care, the federal government's role is very, very limited. It's all about giving money to the provinces.
Sure. Tonight, the French language debate. Who is the pressure on?
I would say Mr. Ignatieff still has the burden of responsibility to distinguish himself from the others. He certainly cannot afford to lose votes in Quebec. he needs to actually gain some and keep the NDP at bay, and also make sure the Tories don't do any better than they have.
Well, it should be an interesting contest tonight, as it was last night. Tom, always good to talk to you. Thank you for your time.
My pleasure.
Tom Bateman is a political scientist at St. Thomas University in Fredericton.